Hello, everyone, and I hope you're doing well. It's Papa Hector Salva here. So, in this video, I want to introduce you to Puerto Rican Espiritismo, Puerto Rican Spiritism. And before I get into that, make sure you go ahead and click subscribe to subscribe to us here on YouTube. Check me out on IG at Hungan Hector, HOUNGANHECTOR. Also, I'm on Facebook, same name. And check me out on our podcast at Papa Hector Salva at Google Podcasts, iTunes, Anchor FM, etc. So, Puerto Rican Espiritismo. Puerto Rican Espiritismo is different than Cuban Espiritismo or any of the other Espiritismos. And before I get into that, what is it? Puerto Rican Espiritismo is a type of Spiritism. Okay? Spiritism, we have a psychic spiritual medium. People are psychic spiritual mediums in Spiritism. So, an espiritista, someone who practices Espiritismo, is a spiritual medium and has the power to communicate with the spiritual worlds. And in Espiritismo, we teach that everyone has this innate capacity. Some have it more developed and some have it less developed. Okay? There's a range. And some people are more naturally born with it, and some people less so. But Espiritismo teaches the path of development of that power. And Espiritismo has a foundation within it of the belief in one God, and then spirits and the spiritual world. And that the spiritual world and the physical world are intrinsically connected, and that they affect each other all the time. And Espiritismo teaches the care of the soul and the spirit and the whole self. It's a very unique spiritual healing and development, mediumistic and psychic development path. And it's a beautiful one. But it's one that's actually currently becoming more and more obscured. It's becoming more and more hidden and changed and shifted throughout time. And this is because Puerto Rican Espiritismo has a very absorbent quality, which means that because the foundations of beliefs there, because of those foundational beliefs, it serves as a good foundation for many other practices and becomes incorporated and absorbs some of those practices and then becomes different. So there are various branches or types of Espiritismo, various types of Spiritism that have become flavored with the various influences that they have been mixed with or around, so on and so forth. So Puerto Rican Espiritismo is different than Cuban Espiritismo, different than Sanse, which is a tradition that is partially Puerto Rican Espiritismo, has a Puerto Rican Espiritismo foundation. It has it's a mix with Puerto Rican Espiritismo, but it's different than Brazilian Espiritismo, the various Espiritismos that exist. And many times, people incorrectly see Espiritismo as a stepping stone in their, like a check off the list in moving forward in other paths. And because other paths incorporate Espiritismo, at times they require some Espiritismo. However, Espiritismo and Puerto Rican Espiritismo, in and of itself, is actually a standalone path that can be taken without having the influence or mixtures of other traditions. So Puerto Rican Espiritismo has within it shamanism, has within it spiritual guides from many different backgrounds that came in and influenced Puerto Rico, the culture, and the development of that culture. And so, one of the main things within Puerto Rican Espiritismo is the understanding of the spiritual world and the unravelment of one's light and spiritual power, as well as one's path and one's spirit, one's soul. This is very important because Espiritismo gives one a lot of the foundational knowledge that's necessary in order to understand and then also develop one's capacity to be a spiritual medium. A spiritual medium is someone who can tune in, communicate with, to varying levels or degrees, and work with to various levels of degree, spirits and the spiritual world. And Espiritismo gives, the best way to say it is, gives foundational knowledge, is applicable all around fundamental truths that are applicable no matter what spiritual tradition you may traverse. This is why it was so easily incorporated into many other traditions or the paths of many other traditions. Much of the method that people serve ancestors comes from Spiritismo. And Spiritismo, because it bases itself, the folk Spiritismo bases itself on many of these fundamental truths, knowledge, and development power, and also has the means through which to develop that power. It has become foundational and incorporated in many people's work. Okay. The tradition of Puerto Rican Espiritismo is holistic. We have spirit, we have the material body, we have the relationship with each other, and how healing must happen on both ends and does happen on both ends. The Espiritista works through various methods to heal, cleanse, and help one develop on the spiritual path. And someone who is an Espiritista has that light, that capacity to move that energy and to work those forces, to work with the spirit. Okay, to work with the great force, to work with the spirit. Now, before I wrap this up, I'm going to be making some more vids on Puerto Rican Espiritismo. And I'm going to be making these vids mainly about Espiritismo, Puerto Rican Espiritismo, so that you can begin to understand some of the foundations towards spiritual growth or the spiritual path. And I hope you're all doing well. Keep the faith, and God bless.